Yay!
Yeah.
There we go. Awesome. I'm just going to turn my phone up a little bit. I haven't done a live in so long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I used to do it heaps last year. Yeah.
Mm.
Hey, what is up? People coming through. So we're
So
today.
active. Oh my gosh. Hi.
Yes, thanks for coming.
Oh
Awesome.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
so today we're gonna be, I mean, I love having Kimmy on here, but it actually got inspired by had a I do a program, so obviously 1010, and I do the coaching calls and I sometimes bring in guests. We don't necessarily talk about just crop or just dance, but like the stuff that helps us elevate those things, which is the self really, and the conflicts that we have within the self. And it just became a really good conversation, and the topic that really kept popping up throughout the conversation was imposter syndrome. It was just everywhere, and I think Kimmy had a really good perspective and a lot of really useful tools to share with the students and even myself as well. So welcome, Kimmy. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
through. So how would you describe what imposter syndrome is to you? To
Mm.
you.
Right. To me, yeah, I guess I was looking up some definitions of imposter syndrome on the internet and kind of just paraphrased, I guess, my own definition of what it is. And I think it's definitely a sense of like when you have any sense of accomplishment or success, or even if it's for a position or something, you have like this fear or um, this even feeling of like, I don't deserve this, or they're going to find me out. People are going to find out that I'm not deserving of this thing, or I'm not worthy to have this thing. And so you feel very, um, you feel like you didn't do enough to kind of earn that position or that success or accomplishment. And so imposter syndrome is very much feeling um, like you're a fraud almost, or like this isn't for me. This is
Yeah,
not this is they've got it wrong. Like they're gonna find out. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Like honestly, I have come across that feeling way too much, but I'm still here today doing the damn thing. So obviously, like I think sometimes it's kind of like differentiates, or even just discerning the difference between, oh, I'm actually shit, but I'm okay with it, or I'm actually shit and like I'm not worthy of anything. Like there's totally like
Yes.
two different things. Hey, Lee's coming through. Yes. Yeah,
Hello.
guys, so people that are watching the recording as well, feel free to comment after and just share your thoughts on what even it is to you and how it pops up with you as well. Yeah. So, Kimmy, what has been your
Okay.
experiences with it? And I guess like you can share more so on the dance experiences, and then if you have other experiences outside of dance as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think I definitely relate to what you're saying in terms of experiencing it a lot and I never really knew exactly what imposter syndrome was. I knew the feelings of like I don't deserve this, or when people compliment you, and we shared about this before, Nadia, where because you don't believe it yourself, you're like, oh, that's not the truth. Like they're just saying that, but you don't actually accept it and you don't embrace it because it doesn't align with what you think the fact of who you are or the reality of who you are is. It doesn't align with your identity. So I think something you said before as well with like, is it story or is it fact? And I think our self-talk and our mindset really plays a big part in imposter syndrome because um, a situation may happen and we may feel like, say, for example, that example of someone giving you a compliment on your work, your craft, your, crown for your dancing, and you kind of like, you think it's humble, but it's not humble because you're actually, someone's trying to give you a compliment respectfully and you're like, oh no. And so you reject it and it's like, why did you reject that? Is the narrative in your head like, I'm not that, so I'm not going to accept it? Or is it like, I didn't do good in my head, so I'm not, that whole perception plays a big part. But back to what you were saying, an example that I think of immediately was when I did a dance project last year called Project C, and it got a lot of thank you, it got a lot of really great feedback from people both online, and it was like a research dance project in response to COVID, and it touched on issues with, I guess, discrimination and I guess the emotions that a group can have when they feel targeted racially in terms of discrimination. And so I put it out, and I was really nervous, of course, when it's something that you relate to personally with. But it got a lot of really great feedback with, people saying just that they relate, or they think it's really relevant, or, just being able to reach different people in different parts of the world and things. And then it won like People's Choices Awards at this festival that people encouraged me to enter into. And I was like, oh yeah, like, okay, it's a dance film, but all these other people are usually doing like acting films and these different things. And so I was like, oh, I don't belong there anyways. But when it won People's Choice Awards, like I think in 3 of the 4 places that it showed, just those things of receiving those awards and receiving the compliments. And then some music artists were like, I had to compose a new song. I didn't have to compose a new song. My friends composed a new song because it couldn't play in that festival, this film festival, because of copyright issues. And so they composed a song. They're like, we'd be honored, this project is amazing, and la la la. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. This is the thing that they were saying. My narrative was like, who am I that they were to do this for me? And like, people are giving you these compliments in terms of its artistry and stuff. You're like, yeah, you kind of put yourself here, and then people are like, I'm trying to bring you up here. And because of imposter syndrome, you're like, I'm staying here. Yeah, I'm staying here. And although you try to bring me up, I might be like, well, oh no, but my reality of how I perceive myself and how I believe in myself and how I view my self-worth and my self-confidence and how I speak to myself is down here. So what you're saying is nice, but I'm going to bring it down here. Mm-hmm. And so I think that whole thing with imposter syndrome is just it's a lot of owning your own stuff, because no matter what the outside opinion is, whether it's good or bad or constructive or whatever, if your perception of yourself is so low, you'll be so stuck in your own mindset. No matter if you have all these accomplishments and a job that you apply for and you get the position, or, you succeed in a certain area, you will stay here, even though people be like, you're doing a great job. It might be like, oh, thanks. Or, people will like, we want to promote you. Oh, why would you do that? Or like, well done on your accomplishment. Let's celebrate. Oh, no, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. But you turn it and you flip it and you think of your friends that would maybe be in a similar position. You'll be like, we need to celebrate you, and we need to, this is amazing. And you speak life into your friends. But to yourself, you're like, oh, I'm not worthy of that. I don't deserve that. I don't belong in that space where those people are. Yeah.
It's crazy. And I wanted to catch back on that. It's like when your peers or even just someone random were to say something nice to you, right? You saying no to what they're saying to you, you're almost like, and I think it's obviously not an attack. It's very subconscious, but it's like you just told them that they're lying to you. You told them, hey, you're a liar today. I mean, yeah, just like that shift in perspective is just like, wow, I didn't really honor what that person was saying about me, right? And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
At least it's a good thing, right? No, I don't want to put like my students on the spot, but there was one individual, and it was really funny. So she doesn't watch her footage, right? And she's like, oh, like I need to work on this, and I need to work on that, and I need to work on this. And I'm like, you're already so dope at what you do. Just go into the dancing, right? And just have fun. Just do yourself, like actually feel what it's like to just feel dance rather than having to work towards something. And so she doesn't watch her footage, so she can't really see what she looks like, but she has an image
Mm-hmm.
in her head. And to me,
Yes.
I thought that was because I've had that experience too. It took me
Yeah.
so long to watch my own footage, right? And
Yeah.
even nowadays, like I would, let's say I go to the session or a dance class, whatever, and I don't watch the footage back until like maybe 2 days later because I didn't feel like it was good enough. And then you watch it and
Right.
you're like, oh yeah, no, that was perfectly fine. And then that
Yeah.
that really got me to see what imposter syndrome looks like.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. It's so
It's
true.
it, like it swirls in
So
there.
subtle. Yeah. And, as you're speaking, I was thinking, what you just shared of what it might look like. I was reminded when you were speaking of what it might feel like. And it very much feels like you have to keep striving to attain a place where you feel like you deserve your success or you deserve that sense of accomplishment. But honestly, and I don't know if you probably can relate to this as well, Nadiah, like you will never reach it because within yourself, you have not given yourself room to be present, room to enjoy the journey, room to actually accept yourself and believe in yourself and know that you're already worthy before you do anything. I don't know why I did that, do anything, but before you do anything, and it really is really hard to unlearn those things because through school, we're taught like, do this, you get a grade, sense of accomplishment. You do something to accomplishment. That's when you
Agency.
feel, yeah, that's when you receive a mark. If you work really hard and you're really clever, then you'll get an excellence. Or, there is a kind of formula in the schooling system, right, from when we're young that teaches us I have to do something um, to be worthy, to be deserving, to receive a certificate, and we
Yeah.
don't really learn like you're already worthy before you do anything just by you being you. And I know that sounds really corny, but it's true. Like you need to love yourself, and I'm still learning that. But when you can really, that imposter syndrome is like really you battling yourself and all the narratives and all the limiting self beliefs that you've placed on yourself, but also allowed other people to speak into you to mold maybe a negative self image. Mm,
Yo, that is really big.
yeah.
So big.
Mm,
Something that like really popped in my head as you were talking about school, and we touched on this in the call before as well about just celebrating your wins. I mean, yo, and I say this all the time. It doesn't matter how small or how weird or how random it is. You need to learn how to celebrate what you or what anyone consider a win is. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like if you're
Yeah.
having a like it could be you're having a really shit day, so I'm gonna go and buy myself some chocolate. That's a fucking win because because most of the time people be like, oh, I'm not deserving of it, so I'm just gonna sit here in bed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
really wild, and I think like that. I think one of the things, and we'll go into this, like one of the tools is celebrating your wins with no attachments to it because that will just lessen this expectation.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
it's
Oh my
crazy.
gosh. Yeah, because we touched on this before as well. Like people with imposter syndrome are usually people who are really high achieving, might feel anxious a lot of the time as well because they feel like they have to, again, attain or strive a certain place until they might, like, if I achieve this, then I will feel this. Um, but you always feel that sense of unbelonging or forward because you're trying to attain something outward, but the internal hasn't been dealt with. And so you keep getting triggered and you'll keep getting, yeah. So it's like you say, it's so important to celebrate those wins and with people around you and know that it doesn't have to be a massive platform.
Yeah.
or success. It can be, man, I really dealt with my stuff in that last season, like internally. Like, can we go celebrate that?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, people on this live right now, or people watching the recording, like go celebrate something after this. Go get like a group of people together and get on it. If you are having troubles finding what it means to celebrate something, or even just having trouble with an imposter syndrome kind of theme situation, pop it in here and let us like break it down with you, because yeah,
Yeah.
we need a group of people to lean on too.
Mm,
So for let's move on into the tools. So what have you discovered that's helped you out in your processes?
man. With imposter syndrome, I definitely say like getting to know yourself. And I was saying to Nadiah before, like it sounds so like cringy, but really I would definitely say getting to know yourself in a sense where you confront your own stuff. I was gonna swear. When you confront your own stuff and you really take ownership of it, that it's no one else's fault. Oh well, something might have happened throughout your life where maybe you didn't have control of it, but now as an adult you have the responsibility to take ownership and choose to move forward. Um, and so I feel like working on your inner self-confidence, a lot of the internal stuff, I think helps a lot, because when you start to reject those limiting self-beliefs and being aware, and I think that's the first step, is being aware. Actually, my friend and I wrote a little formula.
Oh, here
What did
we
we
go.
put? Oh, where is it? Sorry, I'm going to find it because that's actually really good.
That looks like a big sheet of
Awareness.
paper. I'm seeing it in the
It's
mirror.
big. It's big. Awareness, so self-awareness, acknowledging, so having humility, addressing, taking ownership, and applying, taking the choice. So that's number one, awareness. Number two, acknowledgement. Number three, addressing. And number four, applying. And with imposter syndrome, it's your own responsibility. Own responsibility. And these people to
Ooh.
help you, you know, you can have friends that, you know, keep you accountable. And it's so important to have those friends that are healthy, for your mindset to be able to challenge you in a way that is respectful, but is helping you to be the best version of yourself. And if they see something that's limiting you in terms of like, why are you sabotaging that opportunity that you totally deserve and you worked years to get to this point, why are you trying to sabotage it before you can celebrate it or
Boom.
even be present in it? And it's important, it's really important to have not only people to help question you, but also question yourself, not in an over analytical way, but because we're with ourselves 100% of the time, sometimes we don't realize our own growth and we don't acknowledge or question where we were a year ago today and how we
Yeah.
process things, our response, and um, you know, how we back ourselves. And I think imposter syndrome, what counters imposter syndrome a lot is backing yourself and believing in yourself. But you can only do that. And Nadiah and I talked about this before, like someone could compliment you, but, and I think we talked about this maybe earlier in this live, is if it doesn't align with what you believe about yourself, you will not accept it. You won't believe it. You'll be like you said, Nadiah, you'll think that they're lying because it doesn't align with your inner truth. But really being aware of, again, something that we said before is it a narrative, is it story, or is it truth? And really challenging those things. I put some other things down. Yeah, if you feel like you resonate with imposter syndrome, then looking maybe at situations where you felt that and trying to identify the common denominator.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an
And the thing
example?
is, I'll give an example. um, okay, so oh my gosh, okay, I can
Okay, here
talk
we go.
about
Here
this
we go.
because I've talked to my friends about this. So for Project C, I'll use the same example because yeah. Um, so I was invited to go to this Gold Rail festival showing because Project C was playing in it. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go. Like, I don't really know anyone there. I don't really belong in that space. Like, I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb because I actually, don't have any friends that would go, like, and it's a busy time for my friends and I don't want to ask anyone. Um, and I felt like an imposter to my friends because I didn't feel confident to ask anyone to go with me. And so I left it. I was like, I'm not going to go, And then I was like, nah, like I deserve to go watch it on a big screen. Like this is a really cool accomplishment. And so I asked people, but I didn't communicate it very clearly. So I was like, oh, what are you doing on Saturday at this time? And they're like, oh, we're busy. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like, and so I kind of downplayed, like without directly saying like, hey, I'd love for you to come. I know it's short notice, but it's something I really want to celebrate with you. I could have reframed it, but because I was in such a victim mentality, I was like, oh, what are you doing on Saturday? And who the hell is going to know that I want them to come with me if I'm like, hi, what are you doing on Saturday? And And so I remember I got really upset and I like cried because I was like, I feel like no one's supporting me in my friend group. And I'm like, hold on, like, what's the pattern? I'm the problem because I did not ask clearly. I did, I left it to the last minute. What's the common thing? It's me. And I felt like I didn't belong in that space. And because of that, I sabotaged, the time to actually ask someone properly to come with me. And because yeah, I don't know if that's a good example. Like, I think I went on a tangent a bit from the original question,
No, it was good.
but
It was good. Yeah.
yeah, I think imposter syndrome can cause you to really sabotage your opportunities. And like we said, like sabotage the opportunity to celebrate, um,
Mm-hmm.
the things that you've actually invested into with your craft, whether it be dance or something else, you've actually put in years and you had experience and you've had years to refine your expertise in it. And so it's so bizarre that imposter syndrome, I mean, it's so common. I think everyone would experience it in one way or another in their lifetime. Um, and it's just, I don't know. I think it's because we compare ourselves a lot to other people and we kind of perceive other people as having their stuff together. Um, but again,
Yeah.
because we're with ourselves 100% of the time and we might see someone else as like 10% of what they go through, but they might be crying at home because of their, insecurities or issues that they're dealing with internally to be present and to be in their position wherever they are. We compare 100% to their 10% and we're like, oh my gosh, who am I? Like, how do I ever attain this? And that it's not reality. It's just you don't know the inner thoughts and the struggles that they're going through of
Exactly.
that
Oh,
person.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And people are I mean, everyone does wear a mask, whether it's subconscious or not. We do it, and we have no idea what's happening to the other person, even if they come through with a smile. We have no freaking idea.
So true.
Um, I like because you touched on comparison, right? And I think it's such a huge thing. I've noticed it's such a huge thing within the dance spaces. Yeah. And like to me there's even no particular style that it like flourishes in. I think it's everywhere in this craft. And I I honestly believe that it wasn't really too much of a thing until like these concept videos started coming out, the social media, like the content creation. And it's not just like, hey, like I'm just gonna be on my phone and just appreciate shit. It's no, like I'm gonna be on my phone and look at what I'm not doing. And like for me as a creative, like that was my thought all the time. I was like, fuck, I need to create. But like, why can't I just watch something and be like, yeah, hell yeah, like they just did something awesome and I'm inspired. So maybe I can make something if I have the time or if I have the idea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like, have you come across those thoughts as well in the dance spaces? Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And I 100% agree that it doesn't matter what style of dance you do, um, it is in every dance realm. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And something that you were saying reminded me, I guess, of that comparison culture when we feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do something as well, or like I'm not good enough, or it's that kind of lack mentality. And what you shared as an example of the opposite is like, man, I'm really inspired by this person. Like, I'm going to go create something as well. And there's enough room at the damn table for everyone to succeed and enjoy the damn thing. Like, dance should be enjoyable. And I feel like with imposter syndrome and comparison culture, it doesn't become enjoyable anymore. And everyone dances for different reasons. It might be to compete, it might be to battle yourself or whatever. But ultimately, I think a lot of people dance because they enjoy it. And it just becomes unenjoyable because you're like, I can't flippin' attain that standard. And again, you're comparing your 100% to their 10%, and they might have access to different resources, maybe in their
Yes.
like physical space, or they might have had heaps of training or whatever. And it's like, it's just unfair to yourself to do that.
Mhm.
Um, but we take that pressure on and we expect ourselves to get there. And it's like, at what stage are you actually going to be happy? At what stage you actually, if we can't be content with what we have to steward now, with what God's given us, like we'll never be happy because we haven't allowed the process or the situation to forge the characteristics that we meant to learn in that season. And I feel like
Mhm.
imposter syndrome can be flipped, as we're saying. It can be flipped to be a really positive thing, to be like, man, I've learned some really bad habits in terms of self-talk, or agreeing with my insecurities, or not believing in myself for so long. And there's this quote that says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and expecting a different result. And it's the same
Mhm.
thing with this. Like, how long have we
Can,
not
can,
believed
can,
in
can you
ourselves?
repeat that? Can you repeat that? Can you let that land?
Uh, um,
The
insanity is doing the same. That one, yeah. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
silence. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true, we do it because do we love ourselves enough to like not care what other people think? Like, do we back ourselves? Do we believe in ourselves? All these things. And if something hasn't happened for a certain amount of time, like, it's flipping hard, because obviously if we've done it our whole life, then after
Mhm.
X amount of years, however old you are, to then be like, I'm going to change who I am. I'm not going to be experiencing imposter syndrome anymore. It takes, I think, a tool as well is to be patient with yourself and to love yourself in the process, and to know that, as you're dealing and trying to grow out of imposter syndrome, is that you can perceive it, and your perspective of it can be like, man, this thing is actually being an imposter who I'm trying to be. Like, I'm trying to step forward, and this person or these thoughts or these things are the old me. And so, um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. One thing that came up, like an experience that came up actually as you were talking, it was so if you guys don't know, myself and Kimmy are in the same, it's like the same community, and we're known as IUR Alliance, and it's run by Yaya Vancouver, and it's been an amazing journey. It still is. So
yeah.
with this in particular, we had a task where we had an accountability partner, right? So we had someone to
Yes.
rely on to catch our shit. And so basically, we created goals, right? That we wanted to achieve, and it didn't have anything to do with our partner. We just created our own goals, and our partner had to make sure that you're doing the thing, right? And like we'll just even if you end up don't doing it, like let's just talk it out and not be so hard on ourselves. And that's an element of imposter syndrome, right? And then for me, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna dance like 2 hours every single day. And this time, like, I just came back moving from Melbourne, and my mind was a little bit crazy. So I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna bring up the standards a little bit. And there's a style that it's always come in and out of my life, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna dedicate 2 hours every day to it. And it was whacking, right? And for me, like, I love this style so much, but there was quite a bit of trauma like behind it, right? But this trauma was like from 4 years ago. It's gone.
Yeah.
But how much it's there in my head, it's like still alive, right? And I realized,
Yeah.
like, as I was like maybe the first 3 or 4 days that I was practicing whacking, it was just the hardest shit. I was like, it was just the most annoying training I've ever experienced, because like I had to be accountable to someone, right? And it's Yaya, she's pregnant and she's dancing every day. I was like, I'm not, like, in my head, I was like, I am not letting a pregnant woman just win over me like this, because she dances every day, right? And she's looking after another human inside of her. So I was like, I'm not even pregnant. Come on, like, we can dance every day. And yeah, and then I realized through my practice, like, I was just moving my arms and my poses and my body. And then in my head, it was just like, what is this person going to think of me when they see my video practicing to whacking, or when they see me do it at an event? You know, what do they think of my style, blah, blah, blah. Or like, then it comes to like, I can't believe like we're not friends anymore. Like, you know, those things just kept coming in, and it was like, I shouldn't be practicing this because of this one individual out of this entire world. And whacking was created before this person, years before this person. I was like, it took me so, and I shared this with Yaya as well, it took me so long for those voices to like quieten down. And I
Yeah.
realized the imposter syndrome is only to keep you safe. So it's like, it's not for
Yes.
you to experience these thoughts, because they know you're gonna, like, the imposter syndrome is like it's the half of you that knows you're going to be troubled and frustrated by all of this.
Mm.
We're just gonna be like,
Mm.
no, like, you don't have to do that. Just kind of stay
Mm-hmm.
here. And
Mm-hmm.
then you realize, but I'm too safe. I'm not growing right now. I need to move forward, you know? Yeah. It's just scary, but it can be debilitating sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to think about imposter syndrome. It's so true. It wants to keep you safe. So it has good intentions.
Yeah.
Like, let's
Oh,
just
yeah.
just keep you here. Like, you don't want to go into that space where you feel a uncomfortable feeling, where you might feel like you don't belong, or that and it keeps you stagnant.
It
But it keeps
does,
you
yeah.
safe. Um, and yeah, I was trying to remember something, but it's left my mind for a moment. If I remember it, I'll bring it up. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. This is such a great combo. Guys, make
Yeah.
sure you comment through. I know y'all watching and I know y'all listening, but we would love to just hear some of your experiences or your thoughts that come up with these things. They're most valid in this room as well. Yeah. Or even you can message us afterwards. Yeah. Do you have any more tools that you would like to share, Kimmy?
Hmm.
How about in regards to social media? Because I know that was a huge talk in one of our coaching calls. Do you have any boundary
Yeah.
space?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember talking about that, and it was like the fear of posting. Um, and
Okay,
when
there
you're
we go.
like,
That's huge.
yeah, like I wanna post something, and then like you say, you have all these thoughts of like, is it good enough? Like, who am I to put this out there? Like, what are people gonna think? And it's all these stupid things, and it could be someone, like you say, like, that isn't close to you, but for
Mm,
some reason their opinion still affects you,
yeah.
because you're already feeling like an imposter in that space, and you already feel a sense of insecurity. So it's like, oh, they're right. Like, their narrative is right. Like, it's the truth. Like, I suck, and I'll go back. I'll go back and
Yeah.
I'll stay safe. Um, but I've had heaps of times where I've gone to post just like something, or, and again, because dancers are like, they're usually high achievers. They want to perform at a level where it's like, I want to share the end product, sometimes, rather than the process of it, where it's unfinished and it's not perfect yet and it's not refined yet. And so I think that comes into play a lot with imposter syndrome for dancers, maybe, where it can feel like, oh, it's not good enough yet. Like, it needs to be refined, it needs to be perfect, it needs to be at a certain standard. But then you never post anything and you only share the finished product, which is absolutely fine. But then other people might think like, oh my gosh, they're so perfect. Like, look at all their things that are finished and complete. And it's like, oh my gosh, if you only knew the process, the bloopers, the mind, battles. And I think I I don't post as much dance now in terms of just the process for enjoyment or anything, because of the imposter syndrome, um, that I allow. And I own that, like, that I allow to hold me back. And I'm like, who's gonna watch this? Like, 5 people, or it's a lot, especially with the age of social media. And sometimes you can be like, oh my gosh, how many people like that? Validate my sense of worth, please. Validate my sense of worth. And if people comment, and it's an addiction. And I don't want to have a relationship like that with social media. And I think that's also the fear. That's why I don't post as much as well, because I'm a little bit nervous and fearful if I do, will I become addicted to that feeling of wanting validation from people. And I know lots of people say that. But it's more like, is my intent good? And I know it seems really, trivial because it's, social media, but like, is my intent good in posting this? Is this authentic to what I want to share? And what is the point of me sharing this? Yes, it's my page. Yes, I can do it however I want, but I don't want other people to feel bad about their progress. How can I do this in a way where I'm sharing parts of me that are relatable to people, maybe in their,
Yeah,
that was
100%.
roundabout way. Sorry.
No, that was perfect. I love that. I think, oh my gosh, this thing. That's why I actually stopped posting videos, because I came to a kind of like a mind frame of like, I feel like I'm a spectacle. But I realized as I was crawling like back, like I was kind of like retracing my steps. I was like, before I came to that conclusion of feeling like a spectacle, I was, oh my gosh, I was constantly like checking the views, because I work on social media and I'm working on other people's social media, that I see all these numbers, and you have to collect the numbers because it's a part of your job and you want to make sure it's going up. And then when, like, I don't really pay attention to my page, but then when I do post like dance stuff, I was like, why are these really low? And then it's like, even the people that are watching aren't saying anything, and like, it's like they don't have to say anything, because when I go on social media, I just watch things, and I don't necessarily be bothered by commenting or liking or even messaging the person. But if I see the person, I'll say, yeah, that was a fucking dope video. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I realized that imposter syndrome came in hard, and it manipulated that honor. Like, it's everyone else's fault because I'm just a spectacle right now. I'm just like, Nadiah, why? you know?
Yeah.
And I always preach this to the 1010 ladies as well. It's just like, yes, like, check yourself before you post. Like, make sure you're just doing that because you love to do it and you just want to spread the love of dance or whatever it is that you do. But be transparent in it. Like, you can help yourself by writing a caption saying, this was so hard to post, blah blah blah. Like, that could be some sort of transparency, right?
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Or it could be like, oh, I lost my train of thought. Damn, I don't remember what I was going to say.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll think of it again. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to something that you said you know, with the whole checking back on views and things, I think for me at least, it's a lot to do with like, again, I do some work on social media as well for other people. And you, like you say, you have to collect a quantifying, you know, measure of how well things are doing. So it's like that equals its success, or that equals the progress, is knowing the numbers and knowing the a measure, a measure of how good that
Yeah.
post did because of the content. And I think that was one thing, one thought. But another thought was, again, perspective with what you were saying with the intention, and checking yourself before you're posting, but also, I remember doing this program by Jacob Jonas, the company, who's like a dance collector in the States, and they're amazing. Their philosophy, their kind of ethos. And um, one thing that they shared was like, go and celebrate your peers. Like, go and support them. Even if it's a like, even if it's a comment, be genuine about it. But like, they're blimmin' creating in a time like this. Like, why wouldn't we celebrate and take the time to do that? Because these are people that you kind of know now. These are people that you've connected with. And it's not like a clout thing. It's not anything like that. But it's like, that's even a way you could celebrate other people to, you know, kind of even help take the weight of imposter syndrome maybe for them. Is like, man, I have people that know me, that support me, because sometimes it's the strangers that support you the most. And it's really weird because it's like, do I need to verbalize to my people that I need support? And you know, I'm not saying that directed at anyone, but sometimes it just gets familiar and comfortable with those around
Yeah.
you. um yeah, so yeah, those are just some thoughts that came
Yeah.
up to you. Mm.
Yeah, something I did remember what I was saying, and it kind of goes in line with that. But like, even if it is just one view, or I mean, not that that happens nowadays, but even if it is that it could be that person needed it that day. Do you know what I mean? And in whatever way or in whatever potency it is, like, you just did a service. And
That's valid.
honestly, like, if you go to the root of dance, part of it is a service. You dance to service yourself. You dance, you like,
Mm.
it's like you're oiling up your bones, your muscles, you're warming yourself up, you're making yourself feel better, healthier. And the people around you feel better for it too. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. Oh, yeah, you got something to
Hmm.
say?
I saw this post by Sean Liu, a story, and he said, "Do things from love," and there was this like radiation from here, and not for love, which was over here. And
Ooh,
it
that's good.
reminded me of like when you're journeying, if you're doing everything from a place of love, if it's posting, if it's, you know, you've gotten an opportunity, or if you've accomplished something and you're celebrating, you can always carry that with you, and you'll always be at a place of content, not complacency, of content, rather than trying to chase like this thing that will bring you love, or that feeling of love. And I really liked that picture. I just thought it kind of resonated with what you say.
That's dope.
Said.
Yeah,
Mm.
I love that. Um, I know Lee's been popping some comments in here. She was like, I feel that.
Yeah.
And that is so true. Thinking about the intention is really important, definitely. And I wouldn't say don't be too harsh on yourself in coming
Mm.
up with the intention and feeling good about the
Yeah.
intention. As long as it's just feels genuine,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
And I
then
think
the
even,
imposter syndrome can come in there in making of the intentions too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I was just going to say something with that. Like, what something you said at the start is be discerning. Is
Mm-hmm.
it the imposter syndrome coming in, or is it like, yeah, just recognizing when it's you limiting you, or maybe you're just being silly. You need to, you need to do it.
Let's just be silly.
Because, yeah, because sometimes you might just want to document your progress on your Instagram, you know, of like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to archive this for myself because I felt
Mm-hmm.
really good that day.
Yeah.
And it's for no one
Yeah.
else but you. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I guess, like, just to wrap this up as well, when it comes to all of this, it's like you don't have anyone that you need to prove yourself to. I think that's the root of imposter syndrome. You're just proving, and like it comes down to even proving to yourself. Why do you need to do that? It's just do it for fun, do it for you, whatever it is, make yourself feel good. And I think social media and even just the way the world is, like it's like everything's kind of like, yes, there's this level, now we have to go to this level and then this level, and it's just like that brings about the comparisons, right? And I think if you can do your best to demolish that ideology and just come from a space of just serving yourself, you'll know that you are at the same time, by serving yourself, you're serving others. And you have mental clarity to serve others as well. It's yeah. Yes.
Oh my goodness. It's true. When you just, yeah, when you love yourself and you work in yourself, it's going to radiate. I know
Yeah.
that sounds like wish-washy, but it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna
And
ripple
this can,
effect.
yeah, boom, yes. And this can happen anywhere. It can happen in a session, it can happen in your home, it can happen on stage. Like, yeah, it's all there.
Yeah,
And what
yeah,
better way, every minute of the day you get to love yourself. I mean, yeah, that's
yeah.
way better than trying to prove something.
Something I remember saying in our chat was like you can be both a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. Like you're always evolving and you're always going to have progression in your identity and purpose. And then it doesn't come to one point. And so your imposter syndrome might look different in stages, but so can your success and so can your self-love and those things. And that really, I remember that really liberated me when I first heard that from imposter
Yeah.
syndrome to a certain degree. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And just a reminder, even for myself, like the people that you see that have everything that you want, they go through the same thing. Nothing changes. The more wealth you have, the more eyes you have on you, nothing changes. It's going to be the same thing until you tackle yourself. That's it.
Facts. You'll keep learning the
Yeah.
same thing until you deal with it at the root.
Yeah. So, like,
Mm,
just running back to what Kimmy said earlier, get some friends. Get some friends to help you be accountable, just for an
absolutely.
easier process, so you don't have to do it alone. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
true. Agree.
Thank you so much, Kimmy. This was super fire. I feel like we could go on for ages, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Thank you. And thank you for joining.
Yes, make sure
And for
you guys
everyone watching.
check out her project C, even though it's done a while ago. She was dropping it in here. Check out the visual. It's really freaking dope. It won a People's Choice Award, which is super amazing. And oh, and check out her account. Is it The River Mindset?
Mhm.
Yeah, so at The River Mindset. That's where you
Yes.
predominantly work on, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Cool. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Kimmy. Love you
Thank
guys.
you.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.